Sorry everybody, it is Xilicks here, and welcome back to the Week 3 Team Builder of the PBAL. Sorry about not having a Team Builder last week. I was very busy with traveling, but we do have one for this week, and if you haven't watched the Week 2 battle, make sure to watch that now because I may talk about a few spoilers, and I am actually going to mention something about it right away, so make sure you go watch that video before continuing with this one. But if you have already seen it, last week we did lose 5-0 to Aaron 12, which is not a way that we want to start the season, especially against a divisional opponent. But this week we are going up against another opponent within our division, so we definitely want to make sure we can win this match by a high margin, so that way we can begin to mend that 5-0 loss from last week. So let's take a look at our opponent and their team. We are facing off against the Toronto Totodiles, and they have the team of Mega Gyarados, Landers T, Arcanine, Scizor, Shaman, Diancie, Dragalge, Cofagrigus, Vikavolt, Salamence as a Z user, and Hitmonchan as their second Z user. So I believe there are 4 potential Intimidate Mons this week because Gyarados can Intimidate before Mega Evolving, Landers T obviously has that Intimidate, Arcanine can run the Intimidate, and Salamence can also run that Intimidate. So physical attackers are definitely not going to be our strong suit in this matchup, especially with things like the Cofagrigus that can run the Will-O-Wisp. The Scizor has a lot of physical defense. We typically see Landorus or Arcanine run physically defensive. Diancie has a lot of bulk in its regular form. So definitely don't want to be bringing physical attackers, but this team does have a very strong weakness, and that is nothing on this team is faster than base 100 speed. Now obviously there is a lot of priority in there. Bullet Punch from Scizor, Extreme Speed from Arcanine, Hitmonchan can Mach Punch. There's also a lot of ways of boosting speed. Gyarados can Dragon Dance, Salamence can Dragon Dance, Landorus T can Rock Polish, Arcanine can Flame Charge. I believe Scizor gets Agility, and Vikavolt can run Agility. So there's a lot of ways that our opponent can buff their speed to get past that 100 base error, and there's obviously also the ability to run Choice Scarfs. So we're not entirely out of the woods, but because this team is so slow, it gives us the potential of running Adamant or Modest on a lot of our offensive mons. And taking a look at our first offensive mod, we have a big time special attacker with this Swallow. Now I could have ran the Choice Scarf, but I decided to go with the Silk, or sorry, not the Choice Scarf, the Choice Specs, but I decided to go with the Silk Scarf instead, just because I want the ability to change up moves. If we go for a Boom Burst and we see either the Scizor or the Diancie come in, I want to be able to switch up to go for that Heat Wave or the Hidden Power Steel on the Diancie. And the big bonus of running the Silk Scarf is if we go for a Boom Burst against something, it's not going to reveal our item. And because we're Modest, he could think that maybe we got like a timid low roll with Specs going for a Silk Scarf Boom Burst. So he might think we're locked into Boom Burst as he brings in Diancie, and then we can switch up and go for that Hidden Power Steel, getting a lot of damage off against that thing. We also have the ability to, if we need to, go for a U-turn to get out of there and go into something that may provide us a better matchup against whatever we're up against. So this Swallow is going to be huge in this matchup. Not many things can take a Boom Burst, and we do have that scrappy ability to be able to hit the Cofagrigus. Next up, I have my Mega Aerodactyl. Now this is the only mon I am running with a physical set this week. I figured I might as well bring Mega Aerodactyl just because it gives me a way of hitting the Shaman pretty hard, because Shaman we may see run specially defensive just because there's so much physical bulk on this team, or we may even see it offensive and then we can do a lot of damage with an Aerial Ace against that thing. With this speed that we're running, we do outspeed a +1 Gyarados if he gets up a Dragon Dance, which is pretty good because if he sets up a Dragon Dance, takes out one of our mons, we can go into the Aerodactyl to potentially revenge kill, or if it's a really dire situation, we can break a substitute and then take it out with a priority move afterwards. whatever the situation calls for, if that Gyarados is at +1, then the Aerodactyl will be able to outspeed with this spread. We do have the Ice Fang for the Landorus T and the Salamence, and then just Stone Edge Earthquake just for other coverage. Obviously, the Earthquake will allow us to hit that Diancie and the Jigalgi, so we don't have to risk like a miss or anything. And then we have just a Stone Edge for big damage on whatever we want to click it against. Next up, I have Claydol. Now, I brought Claydol to this matchup since I am bringing 2 flying types. I figured I might as well have a Rapid Spinner, just because the Landers can set up rocks. Diancie could potentially set up rocks. It doesn't hurt to have a way of getting rid of rocks. Now, he does have a very good spin blocker, and that is something we have to be aware of with the Cofagrigus. So if we think that may come in, we could potentially double out into something else if he thinks that we're going to Rapid Spin, whatever the situation may be. I'm running mixed defenses here because this will let us switch into Landorus pretty safely. We can switch into Arcanine really well. Diancie, we can switch into that and threaten it out with an Earth Power. We can switch into most things from the Jigalgi. It depends on what the set is. But we can threaten that thing with an Earth Power. We can, if we're predicting an electric move from Vikavolt, switch in on that. We can take hits from Salamence. We can take a couple hits from Hitmonchan. So, yeah, I really like the spread. We are running the Psy Shock instead of the Psychic because, if anything, Hitmonchan might be a Self Vest. So, I was just thinking about that with that decision there. Then we do have the Ice Beam for the Lando T and the Salamence, and then just the Earth Power to hit everything else. Next up, we do have our Sylveon. Now, Sylveon, I'm running also mixed defenses for the same reason I have mixed defenses on the Claydol, with a little bit more physical defense on this set than special. And we do have just generic set, Hyper Voice, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell. This set is going to be really good against Mega Gyarados because if it gets behind a substitute, we can still hit it with Hyper Voice. The same logic applies to Salamence, and neither one of those mons want to take a Hyper Voice for obvious reasons. We do have the Wish, Protect, Heal Bell just because Cofagrigus may be throwing around some Toxics or Will-Wisps, and it'll be nice to get rid of those, as well as like Arcanine using Will-Wisp. Potentially Diancie could have some status move or Shaman as well. So I figured why not bring the Heal Bell. I did consider bringing either like Shadow Ball or Baton Pass or something, but I like having Heal Bell. It makes me feel a little bit more safe in the event that we go up against some form of status. There's also potential of Toxic Spikes on Jigalgi, so there's that too. Next up, we have Infernape. Now, Infernape, I am running a special set on. I consider bringing the Focus Blast for quite a while, as Focus Blast is a huge nuke coming from the Infernape, but I really don't want to miss, and having that priority is going to be really beneficial if Gyarados gets up a Dragon Dance. Then we always have the Vacuum Wave to be faster than it. We are running the Blaze ability over Iron Fist because we don't have any punch moves. And then we're running enough speed, I think, to outspeed max speed Shaman and Salamence with the base 100s. And this set is going to be really good. It gives us a way to kill Vikavolt reliably. It gives us a way to kill Shaman. It gives us a way to kill Scizor. We can kill the Landorus T if it doesn't have speed set up with the HP Ice. We can kill the Salamence with an HP Ice. And then we just have the U-turn to pivot around. This set is going to be really good in this matchup. Like, I really like this matchup for me just because I have so much speed already that all of my offensive stuff just naturally outspeeds his entire team, which is really nice to have. So it lets me play around with a little bit more greedy sets. As you saw, my Swallow was running Modest instead of Timid. Then for our final mon, we have the Vaporeon. Vaporeon is going to be absolutely amazing. It can wall the Gyarados, it can wall the Landorus, it can wall the Arcanine outside of like a banded Wild Charge would do a lot, but I think we can even take a hit from that and then switch out into like our Claydol or something. It can take hits from the Scizor. We do have to fear the Shaman, but we can Ice Beam that if we think it's coming in, or we can just switch out into something else. We can beat the Diancie 1v1. We can take a hit or two from Dragalge. Cofagrigus, we can kind of just sit up against it and like pass wishes as long as it's not going for Calm Minds. Vikavolt we do have to worry about, but we can wall both the Salamence and the Hitmonchan. So this set is amazing because anything that can take a Scald doesn't really want to take an Ice Beam, except for the Cofagrigus and the Vikavolt are really the only two things that don't mind taking either Scald or Ice Beam. But everything else either doesn't want to be burned, it doesn't want to take a big water attack, or it doesn't want to take an ice attack. So this Vaporeon is going to be huge. We do have the Double Wish again, just because I like having Double Wish. I always find it useful. I know it may seem a bit redundant, but I like having the ability to heal, especially when I'm using Frail Mons against a team with a lot of priority. If, like, you know, Infernape gets hit from an extreme speed against an Arcanine, or if Swallow takes a Bullet Punch from a Scizor, then we can always heal them back up with the Wish. And because they have pretty low HP pools versus like a Vaporeon or a Sylveon, it's going to bring their health all the way back up whenever they get that Wish. So that'll be very beneficial. This matchup will be out the day after this team builder is being uploaded. If you're watching this in the future, then the battle is already up, and you may be able to find it in the end card, and if it's not there, then it should be on the recommended or in the playlist. I will see you guys next time. My name is Xilicks. Okay, thanks, bye.